Hello YouTube, my name is Nero and today we have some Battlefield 1, finally a Battlefield 1 video here on NerosCinema. I actually intended to do a number of Battlefield 1 videos yesterday as well as today, but unfortunately I was unable to do so for a number of reasons. So yesterday we actually were supposed to be getting our early access codes for being Battlefield Insiders. If you guys remember, if you signed up to become a Battlefield Insider before the 21st, you were going to be given early access to the Battlefield 1 open beta. I never got my code. They never emailed me my code until eventually at 10 o'clock at night yesterday, I got in contact with the EA customer support chat online. I was like, hey, this is my email. Why wasn't I given a code? They're like, oh, we're so sorry. You were supposed to get a code. You didn't get one? Oh, I'm like, yeah, it's 10 o'clock at night. I've been waiting all day. And so they sent me over a code. I was able to download and play, but it was already 10 o'clock at night at that point. Then I decided I'm going to try this game out on PC today, and the PC servers are completely down. It's been such a... It's been a pretty bad launch so far for the Battlefield 1 open beta, but I've actually been able to play a little bit. I wanted to give you guys my thoughts and opinions towards the game so far based upon, what I've been able to see of it, which hasn't really been a whole lot because, again, didn't get the game till late last night. PC is now down. It's like... Man, this thing is, it's been a pretty bad launch so far, but a lot of this is out of EA's control. Of course, they had the ability to actually send me my code. That was in their control, but DDoS attacks, that's really not something that they can really actually control. So, what are my thoughts so far on the Battlefield 1 open beta? Right now, I think it's a pretty fun game, but there are definitely a number of issues. I think they could have chosen a better map to start things off with. Like, we're looking here at this map, this desert map. It's very nice to look at, but at the same time, I'm not a big fan of the play style. Somebody asked me on Twitter, because they're yet to play the open beta, how is the one map, because there's only one map currently available in the beta. We may actually get one in the future, and I said to him, I feel like on this map, I'm either in no man's land or I am in just a giant clustered team fight, and there's really no in between. And that's really the case. Either you're on the objective and it's just a giant cluster, or you're off in no man's land with like no one around for miles, and you're just kind of like, okay, where is everybody? What's going on? And where's the action? And I think that's just the very nature of the map. It's a giant open desert. That's really what it comes down to. There really isn't a whole lot of interplay between the various objectives. Like there's objective A, which they call apples in this game, which I find to be hilarious, right? If you're used to like the more modern Battlefield games, it's like Alpha and Bravo and stuff like that. Well, now it's apples and butter. It's so much fun. Every time we're losing apples, and you go over there and try to defend apples as you do. But let's say like you have the A objective, going between A and B, there's just a giant open desert. And there's like nothing there, just giant open desert. Then there's a bunch of buildings and stuff like that at the objectives, but aside from that, just there's nothing actually there. So that's something that I'm not a giant fan of personally. It's either way too clustered because it's 32 on 32 if you're playing Conquest, that is, or it's wow, where is everybody? I'm actually getting kind of bored here looking at all this sand. So that's really my thought on the map so far. I hope we actually get the other map. Now you guys know what map I'm talking about. I don't know the name of it exactly, but it's the map that we saw at the big Battlefield 1 release event. It's the same map that we've seen in all the trailers, the one that's actually got a bunch of grass and stuff like that, and it's not set in a desert. I would imagine we're going to be able to play that map at some point during the open beta, but we're going to have to see. That's not confirmed as of yet anyway, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. How are the classes? I very much like the classes. They are very similar to standard classes that we have had in the Battlefield series over the past couple of games. So you have your medic, which uses rifles and has the ability to revive teammates and throw down health packs, which I really enjoy. You have your assault class, which uses a submachine gun and tries to take out vehicles, although try is, I'm using loosely here. It's actually very difficult to take out vehicles right now, which is one of my big gripes with Battlefield 1, is the tanks feel a little bit too powerful, honestly. They feel a little bit too powerful. Now, I understand they're freaking tanks, and what would be the point of a tank if it was, underpowered and just died too quickly, but where it sits right now, like I was watching a live stream, and maybe some of you guys actually caught this today because, the PC servers are down, so maybe you guys haven't been able to play either, but I was watching a live stream on Twitch. It was actually the #1 Battlefield 1 live stream, and the guy was just sitting in a tank in one of those weird objectives, like I was talking about, like there's all this open area between like A and B, for example. He'll just be sitting there between A and B in like the middle of an open desert, just sniping people with his tank and self-repairing, because you can self-repair inside the tanks. You don't need to get out or have a engineer or something like that run up and repair you or anything like that. So he's just sitting in the middle of an open desert, sniping people with a tank, killing anybody that comes close, and just self-repairing himself. And he's sitting there like, this is ridiculous. ridiculous. This is overpowered. The guy was actually ranked he's one of the top 5 ranked players for Battlefield 4, I think, in terms of overall score. And so, yeah, he knows what he's talking about when it comes to Battlefield games. I'm just watching him. I'm like, wow, this is ridiculous. I thought maybe I was just bad when I first started playing because I kept getting killed by these tanks and stuff. But like right now, as it sits, we don't have a whole lot of tools to actually combat the tanks in the open beta so far. And of course, it's beta. And of course, they're really limiting what we have available right now. But right now, your options are run at them with dynamite, which has no throw distance whatsoever, and try and blow them up that way, similar to like C4 in some of the more modern games. Or you can throw an anti-tank grenade at him. But either way, you have to get very close to these tanks to be able to kill them. And most of the time, they're going to see you and just demolish you. So right now, the vehicles seem a little bit too strong. But you do have your assault class, which is very popular. I notice every time I join a squad, a lot of people go with the assault class. I think the reason why is it's a full auto submachine gun, and people are just more comfortable using full auto weapons. Whereas by default, the medic class uses a semi-automatic rifle. Now I have unlocked the full auto one, but the full auto rifle has a very slow fire rate, and just up close, it's difficult to compete with that submachine gun. The support class is like it is in previous Battlefield games. You are the big LMG guy, which I quite like the LMG in this game, to be perfectly honest. And you also can throw down ammo for yourself as well as your teammates. You can also put down these tripwires, basically, which is pretty nice. Then you have, of course, your recon class, which I haven't experimented with so far. I'm not much of a sniper, but it's your standard sniper class. So you have all that stuff across the board, and I like that. But right now, I feel as though, and I'm trying not to be too negative, but I feel as though right now, maybe it's because it's open beta, and maybe because there's going to be a massive influx of people that maybe haven't played the Battlefield series before, I'm not seeing a lot of interplay with the various classes. Like, I could probably count on one hand the amount of times a medic has actually thrown me down a health pack. I can't count whatsoever the amount of times I've been revived so far in Battlefield 1. I'll keep in mind, I've only played for, between console and PC, I've played for probably an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, but again, the servers have been down the majority of today, and so I haven't been able to get any real time in or anything like that, but I've never been revived. I've had maybe 5 instances total of a teammate actually throwing me down some health. Nobody's ever thrown me ammo. Like, nobody's like working together in that respect. I think that's going to happen over time. Like, with Battlefield 1 being so ridiculously hyped, especially in the Call of Duty community. I mean, this is primarily a Call of Duty channel. If you guys are perhaps watching this video and you weren't already subscribed to me, I run primarily a Call of Duty channel, so the vast majority of the feedback that I get is from the perspective of Call of Duty players. And Call of Duty fans are really excited for Battlefield 1 this year because they're not excited for the space warfare theme of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, right? So there's going to be a big influx of Call of Duty players, at least that's what I'm predicting, into Battlefield 1, and I have a feeling that it's going to take them a little while to actually get used to using the various kits and stuff like that. When I first started playing the Battlefield franchise, I didn't understand things completely. I started in Bad Company too, and then once I realized the engineers can have like these anti-tank mines and stuff like that, and they could have these rocket launchers and stuff, like that's all I wanted to do. That's like all I did in Bad Company 2. Once I figured that out, I'm like, okay, so we're going to play Rush. I'm going to just litter all the roads with anti-tank mines. I'm just going to do everything I can to blow up vehicles. That's how I had fun. And over the course of like Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, I've more or less become a medic. I really like reviving teammates and stuff like that, but just like I said, right now, I'm not seeing a lot of team play, but I think that's partly due to the map, right? Because you're either in this giant cluster where it's like really difficult to work together because there's just constant, tanks firing at buildings and people throwing grenades and gas, and it's a giant cluster, or you're off in the middle of nowhere doing nothing. Like, there's really no in-between so far with the map. So I wonder if that's partly due to why it feels as though there's not a lot of team play going on right now, but we're going to have to see. The elite classes, I haven't actually been able to experiment with the elite classes so far. Now, I have killed a couple of people that were in their elite classes. Like, they aren't ridiculously hard to kill or anything like that. I've killed the flamethrower guy a couple of times. I've seen a sentry, but I haven't ran into him, like, personally. Like, I saw him off in the distance. I thought to myself, I'm not going to go contest that guy, and just kept on about my business. And so I tried to avoid that. But for the most part, I haven't experimented firsthand with the elite classes, but they seem okay so far. Let me know in the comments if you guys have actually been able to play around with them, because I've seen some really cool gameplay on YouTube and of course on Twitch as well, and it looks like fun. They're definitely borrowing a lot of ideas from Star Wars Battlefront for sure. You're noticing, like, for example, just the little tiny things, like the little tiny triangle that you have, like, as your crosshair, like when you run around with your pistol. Like, that's something I noticed they had in Battlefront. They also have it here. You look at the desert map here, which is, again, the only map that we can actually play on. It's strikingly similar to the aesthetic that we had in Star Wars Battlefront as well. I think it's built within the same engine even, so it definitely looks and feels a lot like Battlefront, but it's also a Battlefield game, so of course you have all your vehicles and stuff like that. Going up in planes, like, I hate pilots, right? I'm somebody who I don't like going up in planes because I don't feel as though I'm actually contributing once I'm up there, like being up there in dogfights and stuff like that. And that's the cool thing about Battlefield is if you're a good pilot, then you're a really good pilot, and then you can actually, contribute in a lot of different ways by being a good pilot. But I feel as though the most of the time, like when you see people up there in airplanes, they're just flying around because it's fun to fly around. And occasionally I'll spot inside an airplane just to jump out of it and land like on an objective. But I was able to actually fly around in an airplane, and it feels fun. Like, it's what other game can you be a foot soldier running up and bayoneting people and capturing flags, then hop inside a tank and ride across the map, then hop inside of a jeep, then hop inside of an airplane and fly around in an airplane, jump out of said airplane, land on the ground, go capture a flag, get inside a tank, roll on out. Like, I love that about the Battlefield franchise. I really do. And while I'm really bad in planes, and while I think most of the time planes will actually serve a giant purpose, I got in a big argument a long time ago with my cousin. I think it was in Battlefield 3, because all he wanted to do was fly around in a jet. Like, that was his favorite thing about Battlefield 3, was flying around in the jets. And then come the end of the game, he's sitting there at, like, I don't know, 2-2 with, like, no score whatsoever in, like, a 20-minute long match. I'm like, you see, you weren't doing anything. Like, we would have won if you were, like, helping me out on the flags and stuff like that. And he's like, no, you understand. Like, jets are a big deal. You need to be doing things up there and taking out their jets and fighting with their jets. It's like, but why though? I feel as though like the only purpose of a jet is to fight with other jets, but of course that's not true. If you're good in a jet, you can do a lot of things like take out tanks, you can take out objectives, or at least drop ordnance on objectives and try to clear things out for your teammates, stuff like that. If you're a good pilot, you're a good pilot, but I feel as though a lot of the time people aren't. So it definitely can be annoying in that respect. But really, the planes haven't been a giant issue for me so far in Battlefield 1. The big issue for me has been the tanks. Those things are really difficult to kill. Like, if you are not playing an assault class, or the assault class rather, you can't compete with the tanks. There's nothing. I mean, you can throw a grenade. Your grenade will do some light damage to a tank, but for the most part, it's like you can't do anything to combat these tanks unless you find like some sort of like anti-vehicle machine somewhere, like that you can actually use. But for the most part, man, those tanks are kind of ridiculous, and I'm seeing a lot of feedback online saying the same thing. But that's the whole point of a beta. As much as people try to say, "Oh, criticism is not allowed here. It's a beta. Anything you say is irrelevant because it's beta and it's all subject to change." Well, that's the thing, man. I mean, it's going to change based upon feedback, right? That's the thing. So I feel as though they're getting a lot of feedback right now in regards to the tanks. I'm sure they're getting plenty of feedback about why they should not be able to be DDoS because they're EA, but nobody can really protect themselves that well from being DDoS, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it happens to all major things. For whatever reason, I don't notice DDoS attacks happening to Call of Duty, but I notice that it happens a lot to Blizzard. Like, just over the past couple of days with the WoW Legion launch, they tried DDoSing them, and it didn't really work if I remember that correctly. Like, they actually did pretty well keeping their servers up all the time. And then once that hype is kind of over, because it's been a couple of days now, the Battlefield 1 beta's out. Now they're like, let's DDoS that, and they're actually succeeding, so that's a bit unfortunate. But overall, in my very limited experience with Battlefield 1, I've been having fun. It's a Battlefield game. I'm just not a giant fan of the maps, to be perfectly honest, and the tanks right now are super annoying to the point where everybody's always playing. Here's the thing, too. Everybody's always playing Assault, yet these tanks are still, like, running rampant. So we're going to have to see if they're going to be able to find a nice balance there. I think the balance will happen when they either add in something else for us to try to take these vehicles out with, like more mines and stuff like that. If we could have proper land mines, that would be great. Like, right now, we have dynamite, and to my understanding, the dynamite has to be manually detonated. Now, it could actually detonate by itself. I don't know. I haven't experimented with that yet because, again, servers are down, can't actually play. But it'd be nice if we could have some actual proper land mines, which are hard to detect, which could actually take out the tanks a little bit. Because right now, again, the only way to kill these tanks is to run up to them and put dynamite on them and blow them up that way. But the map is so open that they can see coming from a mile away, and it's really difficult to combat with that. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to playing more. I actually wanted to do some live Battlefield 1 videos for you guys. That was the plan, actually, is to do some live Battlefield 1 videos, but I can't do that today, unfortunately. I might be able to do it today, actually. We're going to wait, maybe a couple of hours. We'll see if the servers actually kind of like stabilize a little bit. Like, I can log in, where previously I couldn't even log in, but right now I can't connect to any matches, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to connect to some more matches of Battlefield 1. Maybe get some live videos out, maybe today, if not tomorrow. I apologize. I always hate, like, I feel so guilty. Like, yesterday, I planned on doing a bunch of Battlefield 1 videos, but I couldn't do it because I didn't have the game until 10 p.m. And then once I got the console version, oh, man, if you guys follow me on Twitter, I was very disappointed with the look of the console versions of Battlefield 1. 30 frames per second and blurry. It's like, I'm not a giant fan of this. Like, it was really bugging out my eyes, honestly, to try and play the game on console. And then when I tried it on PC, it looks so much better. So now I just only want to play on PC, but the PC servers are down. It's been one giant It's been a thing. It's been a thing. This whole launch for Battlefield 1's open beta, but it'll get better. It'll definitely get better. We can all actually be able to experience the full awesomeness that will be Battlefield 1 once all these server issues are kind of stabilized. And I imagine that they're going to extend the beta, which most times the games will actually extend their beta. They didn't do that for Titanfall 2, now that I think about it. I wish they would have done that. It would have been pretty cool, because I was really enjoying Titanfall 2's open beta, or tech test, if you guys want to call it that. But here's the thing, like, do you really believe that game is still in pre-alpha 2 months before the release of the game? Like, do you really think it's a pre-alpha? Like, the game is pretty much close to finished at that point, right? And so that's the, I think they use tech test or pre-alpha. That's just basically stuff to say, you know what, if there are problems with this game, just know we'll try to fix them. You know, that's basically what that label is there for. But I definitely think they're going to extend the Battlefield 1 open beta as a result of these DDoS attacks. And I mean, that's awesome for us, right? It's more time to play Battlefield 1 before the full release of the game in October. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you did, please drop me a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.